Okay, let's get started here. You guys can see my screen where it says Tennessee Power Up on it. Great. What we're doing is we are getting ready for 2023. And when you start looking at the some of the reports that are coming from the industry and filter out all the things about what agents are thinking, but when you're actually looking at the economic data, uh, it should scare you into action, actually. And it's that fear or flight mode and or fight or flight mode with fear. And this one just should make you want to fight and make certain that we're going to really follow our GPA. So a couple things we talked about is we looked at transactions, and if you were on Gary Keller's mega camp, he talked about that, they had 5.7 million transactions in 2021. And this year they think that's going to be down to about 4.7. So that's quite a drop right there. And we had been in the 5 millions. They think next year will be between 4 and 4.2 million transactions. So you're looking at another drop. And what that means is a lot of people are going to be getting out of the business, which leaves business open for us. And the people doing the activities are the ones that are going to have the business. And talking to the people that have been in the market the longest, they said that in 2009, 10, and 11, which were the tough years, those agents that did the activities doubled their business each year. Let that sink in. In 2009, when everybody else was getting out of the market and saying it's not worth it, those agents doing the activities, they doubled their business. Then they did the same thing in 2010 and the same thing in 2011. So when you think about that, it really gets down to just doing the activities. So what we are doing right now is we're actually training to get into 2023. So we're preparing for that. It's not something where we put our GPAs together and we're going to start January 1. We're actually starting today because 2023 is actually the Olympics, if you want to look at it that way. What we're doing right now is we're training to get up to the Olympics so that when we have to, like Michael Phelps did, dive in the pool and swim, we're actually already up to that level where we're at a Olympic level rather than just an amateur level. So the real question is, are we actually going through and training yet? And our training model is with any type of thing that we do is one, we're going to hire a coach because people that want to excel at a high level, we hire a coach. We're going to set our goal. And when we set our goals, remember, we always set our goals to break world records, not to win medals. Because when we're setting them to break world records, we're actually challenging ourselves, not just trying to be better than the person next to us. The next one is we're going to compare it to our current situation. Okay, we're going to figure out the gap between where we want to be and where we are now. We're going to plan out our areas of improvement, map out our daily progress and track it. We're going to review the tracking to goal each week and then make adjustments. And that sounds just like our model we've set up with our GPA. We're going to have our weekly meetings with our team leaders and also our other team members. So it's the same type of thing. Now let's kind of go through this step by step. The first part is you didn't hire one coach, you actually hired a group of coaches. You've got Ben Kinney, Chris Suarez, your team leader, Debbie DeGroat from Ford Coaching, and you've got one that you can use all the time, which is the Place Toolkit. You have over 2 years of recordings in the Place Toolkit. And I always say when you're at 11 o'clock or midnight and you really feel awkward calling someone at that night because you're going to alienate them, you can always pull up a recording and watch it in something that you want to learn more about. I mean, we have so many just great interviews on there, training sessions on there. So utilize those things. Those are great coaching activities. Now we set our goal already. We used our GPA. We reviewed it with our team leader. So we're essentially done with that aspect of it. Now what we're doing is figuring out our gap. Now, if we're existing, we're comparing it to last year's numbers. If we're new, don't worry about that. Just follow the current numbers on the GPA where it says if you have this many contacts, you're going to have this many appointments, you're going to have this many conversions to listings or to buyer's agreements, and you're going to have this many closings. Just use those numbers to start with. So don't worry about, I don't know if that's right or not. Just use those numbers. Have faith in the system. Okay. The next one is we're going to start mapping out our progress and tracking it. So when we use the Brevity dialer, we need to make certain that if we take those manual phone calls, on our phone, which we're going to get, we need to make certain that we enter those into Brevity. And it's not just to track saying, hey, I had a Brevity dial. It is so that you know how many times you've talked to that client and what you talked about. If you're not putting those things in there, you're going to lose track of those conversations. And then it's not going to be a nice, clear method where you can just take a look and see where you are. As you get more and more activities, it's going to be harder and harder to keep track as far as each person that you talk to. So make certain that you're actually going into Brevity, have your Brevity app on your phone, so you can just go in and say phone call and just type in what you talked about. It's going to log it as a phone call, but more importantly, it's going to give you that information that you may be thinking about. What was that exactly they said, or where was I supposed to get that back to them? Okay. Also use the appointment part in Brevity, because with the appointment, when you set up a listing appointment, if you set up a meeting with someone or a pop by, put that in there. And then it'll also show on your Google Calendar. Because you down at the bottom, it asks, do you want to show this appointment on your Google Calendar? You hit yes, and it automatically populates it. Then you can go back in and say, from that appointment, did I close it? Was it something that's going to be ongoing conversation or follow-up or nurture? Or was it something where they went someplace else? This is a big part about your feedback. Okay. And then you report your numbers every week. And this can be through one-on-one with your team lead. It can be through team meetings. It could be a tracking board where it's actually put up as far as how many open houses or door knocks you had or dials. So make certain that you're reporting the numbers, because one of the things we have to do is we got to learn from our shortcomings. And there's a great book out called Embrace the Suck. Okay. And it's written by a Navy SEAL, of course, because they always embrace the suck. But it talks about, he actually does coaching for businesses. And there's times when it's just not fun. And those are the type of things where you just grit through, because you know the result that you're going to achieve from embracing the suck is going to be worth it. So keep that in mind, that that's just a mindset that you have to have when you come in, get ready to make phone calls. You're actually going to do it that way. Okay. The next one is alter the behavior for the next week, so that way we can win. It's just like Michael Phelps did when he was actually swimming. He would look as far as how he was holding his hand when it entered the water. I mean, that's how specific it was. And it could be on your conversions. I mean, there could be one question that you need to ask further to either get the appointment or to make them ask or something of that nature. So it's important that we take a look at those small things so we can make those alterations so that we get more appointments, or we convert those into closings then. Okay. One of the things also is to remember there's a team that you have of others, and we win and learn together. So it's not just you making calls. When you don't make calls, the other people, their atmosphere and energy level is going to go down too. But when you're making a lot of calls, it challenges everyone else around you to do those things. If you're setting appointments, it challenges them to set appointments. If you're getting listings or putting buyers under contract, that challenges them to do more, because they see you doing it. And then they think, well, shoot, I can do that too. So we always want to make certain that we're doing our part as a partner, with our team members, to make certain that we're encouraging others. And it's also something, when we fail, share those failures. Some other people are probably doing the same kind of thing, and they might have already thought of a way to overcome that. So share those things. That way we can all learn together. The next one is we've got a system of accountability, which is absolutely great. We've got our Brevity reporting, also our Mojo reports, where we can see how many dials we've done on Mojo. Team accountability meeting. We've got our weekly review with the partner, and also our 411 tracker, where we're making those alterations, each week. What do we need to change that didn't work so well, or where did we fall short, so we can still make our goal? And then also look at that 15th protocol we talked about last week, as far as I need to rev this up, and to get kind of caught up to it. But these accountability systems are going to allow you to do the activities and then coach to get the needed results. If we don't do these things and we don't confront them, then nothing's going to change. And ask yourselves, are you okay with being average? Are you okay with your lifestyle or status quo as it is now? Are you okay with, everybody around you being in that same status quo? Or do you want something more for them? And that's why we do this. Typically, we don't do it for ourselves. We're doing it for people around us because we want them to have those benefits, and we want to sit there and shower them with great opportunities and also great experiences. So one of the things we do have is we have so many tools to make our adjustments. We've got our place toolkit. We talked about the recordings where you've got over 2 years of recordings on there. You've also got all the scripts and presentations that you need for just about anything you think of. Don't forget about the Forward Coaching website. There are a lot of free stuff on there. The guides are on there. There's the disc survey too. Make certain that you're using that. Also, most offices have like a library of books and stuff. Utilize those also. I mean, we've got a bunch of them at our office too. Also on social media, you got our Happy Place. And when you go to our Happy Place, it's not just a social media. If you click on files or media, there's going to be recordings, and there's also going to be workbooks on there that you can download. Converted, those workbooks are down there. I think Referred is also on there, and also is Persuaded. Also, Brevity Masterminds. Brevity Masterminds has the same thing with files and media. So make certain that you're using that. Also with your Brevity University that we have. Tennessee Power Up on our YouTube channel. You can go back and actually look at those recordings. On those, we talked about the Brevity app. It walks you through how to use the Brevity app. It also walk through lending practices. So if you need help on lending, that's a great way to do it too, because you can just pull up which one that you need to hear about and actually watch that video. And they're about 30, 33 minutes is where most of them fall into place. We've got our Slack channels too. You've got Chris's call on Friday, and you've also got your weekly team meetings. So you've just got a ton of resources that can help you be successful with it. So lean into your partnership of others in place, okay? And remember, we want to seek world records, not gold medals. So one of the things we did yesterday was we did our calls and stuff. So kind of tell me about on these things as far as how are we going back through and tracking them? We all have to go into Fred said's tracking page to put our results in today. But kind of tell me how you guys are leaning into doing some of these things.
Hello. We just did a tracking board yesterday. So that was really helpful. And then we'll just report those this morning, just kind of making sure that some of the ones that weren't on actual Brevity, et cetera, get those back on there.
Okay. Jody, what do you guys do down in Chattanooga?
I hope I hear the question right. I mean, we do a daily log, how many calls, I'll flip through my phone at the end of the day, and that's legit how I get my numbers. Like, oh, okay, I talked to and then I'll be like, oh, if they're not in Brevity, I need to upload them. Or if they're in Brevity, when I see that I've talked to them or something, I'll be like, oh, I need to put those notes in. Hey, met them for lunch or whatever today.
Very good. Okay. Very good, Kat. And I know you keep a tracking log as far as all your dials and contacts, for the day, and we review that each day. So fantastic. Well, give me a couple of gratitudes, and we're gonna get on it so we can actually get into putting our results in and also keep our training up for 2023.
Well, it's my daughter's 13th birthday today, so I'm grateful that we were able to celebrate it. So that's
very good.
her and her cake.
That's awesome. Okay. One more gratitude and we'll get going.
I'm grateful we go to my son's first volleyball tournament this weekend in Indianapolis. So I'm excited to see them play. New team. So yes, exciting.
Very good. Okay. All right, guys, I will wrap it up. I will see you guys next week. We will have a guest speaker on here next week. So you won't have to listen to me. All right, guys.
Great.
Oh.
Thank you.
Talk to y'all
Good
later.
day.
Bye.
Bye.